Shalom, Ashar Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom family. It's your brother, Zadak Abar, coming out of HOI Milwaukee. And this Shabbat, I have a little lesson that I want to bring out. Something that was just heavy in my spirit. Because, it's been a lot of controversy going on in the nation. And, especially dealing around Cornelius, whether he's a Gentile or an Israelite. And it's been hard pressed in my spirit that I believe that a lot of us are missing the point about Cornelius. Now, this lesson is not to say whether he was a Gentile or an Israelite. That's not the purpose of this lesson. So this lesson is to point out what it seemed to be that a lot of brothers and sisters are looking over when they go back to the story about Cornelius. They're missing a key point. And the title of this lesson is A Memorial Before Yahweh. A character that the Most High responds to. Let me say that one more time. The lesson is called A Memorial Before Yahweh. A character that the Most High responds to. So we're going to start off with reading Acts chapter 10. All right? And matter of fact, before we even start reading, right? So the focus is the character over controversy, devotion, almsgiving, prayer, and reputation before Yahweh, right? The objective of this lesson is to show that the Most High responds to Cornelius' character, not arguments about lineage. Being devout, charitable, and well reported of are qualities Yahweh openly honors. See, the remnant today must reflect the same spirit of unity, love, and obedience seen in Acts. Because the truth be told, amongst the nation of Israel, the nation of Yasharallah, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of division. Let's be honest. It's a lot of backbiting. It's a lot of trash talking. It's a lot of putting down. And this controversy, whether he's a Israelite or of a Gentile nation, you know what I'm saying, got brothers at odds and talking all types of trash against each other. When in Zephaniah it tells us that we're supposed to be gathering together. So the point that you're missing is not whether or not he was an Israelite or a Gentile, or Jew or Gentile. The point you're missing is the character that he had, that was described, that got the attention of the Most High. That's why Peter was sent to him. You understand? It was his character that was mentioned. And that's something that we should strive for. As the remnant that's here today, we're waking up to the truth, right? So we should strive to be seen as righteous, as devout, you know what I'm saying? As praying always, giving alms, all those good things that was said about Cornelius. We should be striving to be that ourselves. So let's start by setting the context, right? So let's go to Acts chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 4. So it's Acts chapter 10, verses 1 through 4. And it reads, There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian Band, a devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. Salakia. He saw in a vision, evidently about the ninth hour of the day, an angel of God coming unto him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. So, the key point here, I'll set it in the context. The key point here is before Peter ever arrived, before identity debates, the Most High already testified about Cornelius. You got to understand, he called him devout, said that he's one that fears the Most High. You know what I'm saying? With his whole house, not just himself, but with his whole house. You know what I'm saying? And gave much alms to the people and pray to God always. You know what I'm saying? When you examine yourself, can you match up to that character right there? That's what we should be striving for as the remnant, as Yasharallah in this earth. We see that we're in the end. We shouldn't be fighting and bickering with all this division. We should be trying to find unity. So let's keep going, all right? Let's keep going. What Yahweh actually praised, you know what I'm saying? What he actually praised, the things that was said about Cornelius. What was actually honored about his character and what does it mean, right? So we're going to start off. He was called a devout man. That's number one. He was called a devout man. What does devout mean? The word devout means serious, Salakia, serious about worship, discipline, and righteousness. Disciplined in righteousness, right? A reverence towards the Most High. Totally committed to a cause or belief. So to be devout is to be totally committed. He was totally committed to the Most High. Are you totally committed to the Most High? Let's see. What's a precept? Let me get Psalms. Let's go to Psalms 25 and 14. So that's Psalms chapter 25. And we're going to read verse 14. It reads, The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. So it also said in Acts, right? In the book of Acts, it says that he was devout. And we just read here in Psalms 25:14, the secret of Yahweh is with them that fear him. Cornelius feared the Most High. You understand? So the Most High sent Peter. First, the Most High sent an angel to let him know your prayers, your alms, all that has come up as a memorial before the Most High. And then he sent Peter to break down the truth about Yahushua to him. You understand? So let's keep going. Let's get another precept. Proverbs, let's go to Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 13. Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 13. It reads, The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. So the key point here is the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. He was a devout man. He was totally committed to the Most High. He prayed. He always prayed to the Most High. And he gave much alms. That means he gave a lot. Much is a lot, right? He gave much alms. So therefore, he feared the Most High, right? He feared Yahweh. And he did righteously in the sight of Yahweh. That's why he was honored. You know what I'm saying? That's why the angel was sent to him. So let's get another precept. Let's go to the book of Sirach, in the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. So we're going to get Sirach chapter 1. And we're going to read verses 11 through 13. So this is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 1, verse 11 through 13. It reads, "The fear of the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Lord maketh a merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and long life. Whoso feareth the Lord, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the day of his death." Cornelius feared the Most High. How many of you honestly can say that you fear the Most High? Because it seems like it's a lot of pride going on. It's a lot of arrogancy going on. So let's keep going, right? So the key point here about devotion, right? To be devout. It's not just lip service at all. It's not just what you say out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You sound good. It's not just lip service. It's consistency. Do you do this day in and day out? Do you keep the law only when seen? Or do you do it when you're out of the public's eye, behind your four walls, in your home? Are you praying always to the Most High? Are you giving alms? Because it's not just lip service. Any one of us can be like, "Hey, I'm an Israelite," and wear your fringes and talk a good game. But are you walking that walk consistently? That's what it means to be devout. So, focusing on whether he was a Gentile or Israelite, no, focus on what the Most High said about him. And see, do you line up with that character? Will the Most High say the same thing about you? You understand? Are you devout? Are you totally committed to the Most High? Or is it just lip service? Right? Listen. It also said he feared the Most High with his whole house. He reverenced him, deeply respected the Most High. You understand? Not just him, but he led his household the same way. It wasn't a do as thou wilt. It was, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's how Cornelius led his life. Not just in the public, but in his four walls. As we, as the remnant today, the chosen of the Most High, the children of Israel, that's how we should be. We should fear the Most High with our whole house. You understand? Because Cornelius didn't just serve Yahweh privately. His household reflected it. Because he established the laws of the Most High within his household. He had to. Look what he was called, devout. That means totally devoted, totally committed to the Most High. And he feared the Most High. And his household reflected it, right? Let's keep going. Let's get the book of Joshua. Just some precepts on this, right? Let's get the book of Joshua, chapter 24 and verse 15. It reads, "And if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." You understand? That's how Cornelius was walking. That's how he was living. Are you living that way? Can you say the same thing? You might be able to say it, but if I was a fly on the wall in your house, is that what I would see? When the Most High watches you, is that what he sees? Because a lot of people, hop in this truth and we seek the approval of men, but that's not what we should be seeking. We should be seeking the approval of the Most High. You understand? Because Cornelius feared the Most High with his whole household, and it reflected through his household. What was said here in Joshua 14 and Joshua 24 and 15, Salakia? It says, "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That's the mindset that Cornelius had. That's the mindset that we must have, right? He was called devout. He was devoted. And he feared the Most High with his whole house, right? Let's keep going. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 18 and verse 19. Genesis chapter 18 and verse 19. It reads, "For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken to him." You understand? This is Father Abraham. This is speaking of Father Abraham. You understand? He led his house. He feared the Most High. And he led his house accordingly. It was written in Joshua, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Cornelius, him and his household, he served the Most High. He worshiped the Most High. He prayed to the Most High always. He was devoted to the Most High, and it reflected in his household. Can you say the same about you and your household? Now, we know that we're going to have some rebellious people right in the midst of our house, right? We might be serving the Most High and doing what we're supposed to do, and it's going to be some that rebel. But are you doing what you got to do to lead your household in righteousness according to the will of the Most High? Like Abraham, Joshua, you know what I'm saying? Like Cornelius did. That's what we should be striving for. Let's see, where am I at? Let's go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 3, and we're going to read 4 through 5. So that's 1 Timothy chapter 3, 4 through 5. It reads, "One that ruleth well his own house, having his children subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Now, let me read that one more time. This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 3, starting at verse 4. One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Because, you got a lot of people that want to be in a position of power, a position of leadership, but you don't even know how to rule your own house. You don't even know how to stand up and set the example of righteousness and what a man of the Most High should be. That's what Cornelius did. Whether you believe he was a Jew or Gentile, that's what Cornelius did. You understand? And that's the point a lot of brothers are missing. A lot of Yasharala, that's a point that you're missing. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Let's keep going. The key point: righteousness that doesn't influence your house is incomplete. Cornelius feared the Lord with his house, and it reflected in his household. You got to be serving the Most High diligently, as a devout man or woman. And believe you me, it's going to have an impact on those around you. Let's keep going. It also said, so here's the characters. Let's do a quick little recap, right? He was called a devout man, right? Totally committed to the Most High. He feared the Most High with his house. Not just him by himself, secretly serving the Most High, but it was openly, and it showed and reflected in his household. Right? And it said he gave much alms to the people. Right? He gave much alms. That means he gave a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's charity, giving alms. He gave. Not no token giving, but much alms. That means a lot. Right? So let's get some precepts on that, on giving alms. Proverbs. We're going to go to the book of Proverbs, and we're going to read Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 17. So the book of Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 17, it reads, He that hath pity on the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he given, Salakia, and that which he hath given will he repay him again. So this is charity. There's always going to be somebody that's less fortunate than you. To have pity is what's another word for pity? Like empathy. You know what I'm saying? You see what they're going through. You know what they're going through. And you got it to fix the problem. You can help them out. Maybe not completely fix it, but you can help them out. You can help them. Put some clothes on their back. Put some food in their stomach. Give them an encouraging word. Put a couple dollars in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? It says, he that hath pity on the poor lendeth to the Lord, and that which he hath given will he repay, Salakia, will he pay him again. Cornelius gave much alms. Not a little bit, but much. That's to say he gave a lot. Can you say the same about yourself? Can the same be said about your character? Now, understand that, hey, the times we living in is rough. It's rough for a lot of us. Financially, it's rough. But when you got it, do you give alms? Do you? Or do you hold on to them dollars for dear life and don't want to come up off of them? Do you got a house full of food and a walk past a brother or sister? They might not even know they Israelites. But you can clearly see that they're one of yours. And just because they haven't been woken up to the truth, you decide not to feed them? They're less fortunate than you. The poor. You have no pity on them? But here's Cornelius. He gave much alms. So that's what we should be striving to be like as the children of Israel. As a woman, as a daughter of Zion, as a man of the Lord. We should be striving to live righteously in all that we do. And one of those things is giving alms. Right? Let's go over to the book of Tobit. The book of Tobit in the Apocrypha. And we're going to read we're going to start at chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 8 and 9. So this is the book of Tobit, chapter 12, verses 8 and 9. Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. For alms doth deliver from death, and shall purge away all sins. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. You understand this? It said Cornelius gave much alms. Not only was he devout, which is to be totally committed to the Most High, he feared the Most High and instructed his house in the same. And guess what? He gave much alms. And you know what it just said about what I just read in the book of Tobit, right? Chapter 12, verse 8 and 9. What did it say about giving alms? Let's read that one more time. The book of Tobit, chapter 12, starting at verse 8. Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold, right? For alms doth deliver from death. Giving alms, you might say, my Most High might, you know what I'm saying? The death angel could be around the corner and you see someone in need. And it might be, you know what I'm saying? That death angel might just be waiting for you. But you stopped to help someone in need, to give as they had need, out of the kindness of your heart, because you're walking upright in the sight of the Most High, following the law, statutes, and commandments, and all the teachings therein. And you decide to feed or clothe this person and to give them a kind and encouraging word. The Most High, I tell that death angel, don't touch that one. It says, for alms doth deliver from death. You can save your life. Your life can be spared just from giving alms. And shall purge away all sin. You can purge away sin. The scripture says this, not me. Giving alms can purge away sin. And it says, those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. So you got to think about how Cornelius was honored by his character, right? A devout man. You understand? He feared the Most High, not just him, but his whole house. And he gave much alms. And right here it says, we'll be filled with life. And it also said that the Most High will repay you. This is the character of Cornelius that was described in the book of Acts, chapter 10. Let's keep going, all right? Let's keep going. Let's go to Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 58. Salakia. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 58. And we're going to read verses 6 through 10. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 58. And we're starting at verse 6, and I'm going to read down through 10. Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burden, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. I'm going to stop right here at verse 7. Clearly it's saying, when you see those in need, when you pity the poor, and you see those in need, give them bread. Give them something to eat. If they're hungry, give them something to eat. You know? If they ain't got nowhere to go, give them some shelter. Now, me personally, I won't just let any and everybody in my house because there's a lot of crazy people out here. But if you got it, you can get them a little motel for the night so they can get out the cold or get out the rain and get a proper nice rest or get some proper rest. You know, if you got it. What it also says, when thou seest the naked, that thou cover him. You see someone in need of clothes, and you got a closet full of nice clothes, and it might be old, but nice clothes that you don't wear. Give it to someone that needs it, that ain't got no clothes. You see them wearing the same thing over and over and over, and you got all this nice designer and name brand stuff that you don't wear. You just holding on to it. Give alms. This is a part of giving alms, right? To save your life from death. You know what I'm saying? And purge sin. Give alms. This is what Cornelius did. That's why he was highly spoken of. Let's go to verse 8. Isaiah 58 and verse 8. Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. See, there's a blessing and a reward in giving alms. You understand? But you can't just do it because you want something in return. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this because I know God going to bless me. No. Do it out of love. Do it out of righteousness. You understand? Verse 9. Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. A lot of y'all wondering why your prayers is like seem to be hitting the ceiling and falling back down to your feet, right? That's because you're stingy. You don't want to give alms. It said Cornelius gave much alms. Much alms. And it says if you do these things, if you have pity on the poor, it's like you lend into the Most High, and he going to repay you. He going to pay you. He going to pay it back to you. You understand? And right here, it says, when you call on him, he going to answer. So if you want to get those prayers, you want to get them prayers through, you got to give alms. Trust me. I've seen it happen in my own life. Going through some struggles. Didn't really have a dime in my pocket. Had a couple dollars. You understand? And gave alms. And guess what? That prayer was answered. That prayer was answered. Let's see. Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry, and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light arise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. So you're going to shine. You're going to be full of light. It says, in life. You understand? And the Most High going to hear you when you call upon him. You understand? Cornelius gave charity. So when you examine yourself, for you that know that you're Israelites or believe that you're Israelites, you understand? And you have the faith and you're rehearsing the righteous acts and you're doing all you can to keep the law, those that are sincere. When you examine yourself, how do you stack up next to Cornelius? Are you devout? Do you fear the Most High? Huh? Do you? Are you giving alms? Let's back up. Do you fear the Most High? Is it reflecting in your daily life and in your household? And do you give alms? Or do you sit on every penny you get? What would be the report about you if the Most High had to give one? That's why we must examine ourselves daily. Because I feel like brothers have missed the mark, you know, focusing on his nationality versus what the Most High said about his character. So let's keep going, right? When was it? Isaiah 58 and 10. So the key point, giving is a form of worship. You know what I'm saying? Worship. And Yahweh records it. He keeps records. Understand this. He keeps records. So if you truly love the Most High and you say you follow the law, then you ought to be devout. You should fear the Most High and you should give alms. Right? What else was said about him? What else was said about Cornelius, right? It was said about him that he prayed to the Most High always, right? He prayed to the Most High always. Do you always pray? Or do you wake up and jump straight out of the bed and start your day and go through your whole day? And then the only time you pray is when you facing some type of hell or turmoil in your life. Huh? Do you pray only when it gets bad? Do you pray when it only gets bad? Or do you pray just to pray? Because you want to be in constant communication with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Prayer was his lifestyle, not emergency only. It said Cornelius prayed always. Let's get some precepts on prayer. So we're going to go to Psalms, the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 17. So Psalms chapter 55 and verse 17. It reads, Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. So you gotta understand this. This is King David, right? A man after the Most High's own heart. It says in the book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse 17. Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. This is what it means to constantly pray or always pray. You know, we understand, you know what I'm saying? I understand that sometimes life gets going and you get to moving and you got to move and you got to handle business, but you should never take a step without going to the Most High first. Pray always. That's what Cornelius did. That's what was said about him. I didn't make that up. That ain't something that I'm throwing out. It said that he prayed always. And here in the book of Psalms, chapter 55, 17, it says evening, morning, and noon. If I'm hearing that, that's 3 times a day. Let's keep going. Let's get the book of Daniels. Let's get another precept on prayer, right? Let's get the book of Daniels. We're going to go to chapter 6 and verse 10. So this is the book of Daniels, chapter 6 and verse 10. It reads, Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetimes. Here's another example of praying always. Daniel prayed 3 times a day facing Jerusalem. He faced the east, the motherland, and prayed 3 times a day. Cornelius, his report was that he prayed always to the Most High. Are you praying always to the Most High? Or are you praying at least morning, noon, and night? How do you stack up against the character of Cornelius? Because, you know, whether you believe he's an Israelite or a Gentile, how do you stack up against him? With your report, if the Most High gave a report about you, would you stack up? Would you be called devout? Do you fear the Most High, you and your household? Do you give alms, much alms? Do you pray always? How do you stack up? Let's keep going. Let's get the book of Luke, chapter 18. The book of Luke, chapter 18. And we're going to read verse 1. So this is the book of Luke, chapter 18 and verse 1. As he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not faint. So you must always pray. Always pray. You can't go about your day, oh, I forgot to pray. I didn't pray today. Then can you call yourself devout? Can you say you truly fear the Most High? Because someone that's devoted to something is totally committed. And when you're committed to something, a person or a thing, you want to be in constant contact with it. And prayer is our source of contact to the Most High. Yes, we have his word that he has given us, his law, statutes, and commandments and judgments that he has given us. But our contact, our source of contact to the Most High is prayer. So are you praying always? This was a report of the character of Cornelius. Devout. He feared the Most High, him and his household. He gave much alms, and he prayed always. It says, men ought always to pray and not faint. So how do you stack up? The key point here, consistency in prayer builds intimacy with the Most High. Because when you're in a relationship, you want to become as close as you can to that person. When you say you love them, right? When you love somebody, you're going to communicate with them. You're going to want to talk to them all the time. You're going to want to open up to them and lay your heart bare, right? That's how you get close, through communication, through spending time. Because when we go into prayer to the Most High, we're actually spending time with the Most High to talk to him, to say thank you, to praise him. You understand? To even ask for help. But it's all communication. So are you praying always as Cornelius did? So let's keep going. It says that all these things that was said about Cornelius, him being devout, him fearing the Most High, him giving alms, him praying always, it was said that it was a memorial before the Most High, right? It came up as a memorial before the Most High, right? A memorial is something that's remembered. You know what I'm saying? And that's revisited. It's remembered and revisited over and over again. So this is something he always did. And the Most High acknowledged it and approved it. When you look at yourself and you examine yourself, is the Most High acknowledging you and approving? Is he giving approval of how you're conducting yourself, how you're living your life inside your house, not just in public, to get men's approval, to get status, clout, fame, power? You know? Is the Most High giving approval? Is what you're doing coming up as a memorial before the Most High in righteousness? Because you don't want him to remember you for doing wickedly, because that'd be bad. How do you stack up against Cornelius? Can the same be said about you? Right? So let's go back to the book of Acts chapter 10. And we're going to read verse 4 again. So the book of Acts chapter 10, and we're going to read verse 4. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said unto him, "Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God." See that? The Most High honored it. That's why he sent the angel and then sent Peter. Can you say the same about yourself? Is that what you're striving for? Because we should all be striving for that. To be spoken of in that manner. To let our works, our faith, and the love and charity that we have to be a memorial before the Most High in righteousness. Let's keep going. Let's go to the book of Malachi. Because the Most High keeps records. You know what I'm saying? You might not see no one around you, but you better believe that angels are there and they're recording everything. The Most High keep records. So let's go to the book of Malachi. Chapter 3 and verse 16. The book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name. So a book of remembrance is before the Most High. You understand? It says that those things came up as a memorial. The Most High remember it. It's written down. It's in the book. What's written in the book about you? Are you going to end up as chaff? You understand? Or is the Most High going to remember your good works, your character, how you served him, how you gave alms, how you feared him, how you was devoted to him? That's what you should want the Most High to remember about you. That's how you should want to be seen, but sincerely, from the heart, sincerely, outside and inside your four walls. There shouldn't be no changing. Outside, you acting righteous, but in your house, you're a raging demon. Nah, think about Cornelius. How do you stack up? As a Israelite. Let's keep going. Let's see. Let's get Hebrews 6 and 10. It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 6 and verse 10. It reads, "For God is not unrighteous to forget your work." Remember, there's a book of remembrance. And here in Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10, it reads, "For God, for Yahweh, is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye showed, Salakia, which ye have showed towards his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister." You understand? It says that the Most High is not unrighteous to forget. You understand? So he's not like how we are, in the world, how some of our people are. You can do things for them and do a lot of stuff for them, but when it come around, they don't remember it. I don't know nothing about that. But you did this XYZ to help them out. But in their mind, it's like you ain't never done nothing. That's unrighteous. That person is being unrighteous. But see, the Most High is not like that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to remember your good works. So are you devoted? Do you fear him? Are you giving alms? Are you praying always? You got to examine yourself. Forget about whether Cornelius, at this moment, you know what I'm saying? For some it's very important, but it's not going to save you or condemn you. What matters is what was said about him. When you examine yourself, can those same things be said about you? Devout, giving alms, fearing the Most High, praying always. You understand? So let's keep going. Let's go to Psalms, the book of Psalms. Psalms 112, Psalms 112, and Salakia. So Psalms 112, and we're going to read verses 5 and 6. So that's the book of Psalms 112, verses 5 and 6. "A good man showeth favor and lendeth. He will guide his affairs with discretion. Surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance." One more time. Verse 6. "Surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance." There's a book of remembrance before him. it says that the alms and his prayers came up as a memorial before the Most High. Are your righteous deeds going to be remembered? Are they going up as a memorial before the Most High? That's what we should be focusing on as a nation, as a people. Not controversy, not causing more division, but unity, love. What does Zephaniah say? Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. You want to be remembered for your righteous acts, your righteous deeds before the Most High in the day of your judgment, not for being a wicked Negro. Let's keep going. All right? Your obedience is never wasted, even when it goes unnoticed by men, because the Most High sees everything. It is written, right? His eyes is 10,000 times brighter than the sun. He don't miss nothing. So when you think don't nobody see the good that you're doing, just know that it's being recorded. It's before the Most High. He sees it. Just make sure it's sincere. And you don't have no ulterior motives. You know what I'm saying? You're only doing it to gain something or to be seen a certain way because you like how it feels. Or there's some type of benefit that comes with it. Be sincere because it's what the Most High requires. And if you love the Most High, you're going to do what's required of you. Right? So let's keep going. Because like I keep saying, I feel, just sitting back listening to and seeing comments online and all this and that, I feel like a lot of our brothers and sisters be missing a point. It's missing a point, Missing a point in the controversy. Focused on whether he is or whether he ain't versus what did the Most High say about him? What was his character? How did he live his life? So let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 10. The book of Acts, chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 22. So this is the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 22. Salakia. The book of Acts, chapter 10, and verse 22, it reads, and they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth God, of a good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned from God by an holy angel to send for thee into his house and to hear words of thee. So it says, and one that feareth God and of good report among all the nations among all the nation of Jews. He had a good report. Do you got a good report? Even for me myself, I gotta sit back and rethink some things. Like I gotta really work on some things because I want to have a good report. Not just amongst men, but with the Most High. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that's going to either give you life or take it away. And no one can save you from him. So you should be trying to have a good report with the Most High, the way Cornelius had a good report. You know what I'm saying? Amongst the people. And the Most High acknowledged him because his good works came up as a memorial. It was something that he did constantly. Not every blue moon, not every once in a while. Not with a grudge. I don't really want to do this, but nah, he did it because that's who he was. And in like manner, as Israelites, that's who we should strive to be. I'm not saying be Cornelius, but the things that were said about him: devout, giving much alms, fearing the Most High, praying always. That should be said about us. That's the example there that a lot of, I believe, people missed. That's the example. Let's keep going. Let's see. Let's get Proverbs chapter 22. Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 1. So Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 1. A good name is rather to be chosen. Salakia, let me start over. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So a good name, to simply put it, is better than having a lot of riches. Cornelius had a good name. He had a good report amongst all the nation of the Jews. Amongst all the people, his name was valid. Is your name good? Do you have a good name? Do you have a good report? That's why you should be examining yourself. Let's get Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. It reads, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So a good name is better than a precious ointment. You know, that could be an expensive cologne or body oil. You know what I'm saying? Something that costs a lot of money. It says a good name is better than that. Do you have a good name? You have a good report? Are you praying always? Are you giving alms? Are you fearing the Most High? Are you devoted to Him? These are the things you need to think upon and examine yourself. And if you find any error, correct it. Get it right. Let's see. Let's go on to the book of Acts. Back to the book of Acts. Chapter 6 and verse 3. This is the book of Acts, chapter 6 and verse 3. Wherefore, brethren, look ye out among you 7 men of honest report, full of the Holy Ghost and wisdom, whom we may appoint over the business. So, an honest report, right? Which is the same as a good report. When your name is mentioned, what's going to be said about you? That brother, phony. He a hypocrite. That sister, all she do is gossip. Is that what's being said about you? Or is it, nah, they upright. They really love the Most High. You know, that brother gave me his last. That sister, she went out of her way to make sure I had something to eat because I ain't eating in days. You know what I'm saying? Are you out there giving alms and loving your people? Taking pity on the poor? Putting clothes on those that ain't got none? Are you out there praying always? being devoted to the Most High and leading your household in the fear of the Most High? Do you have a honest and good report? You know, you got to understand, the Most High responds to righteous conduct. He responds to righteous conduct. We can debate all we want, you know what I'm saying, over doctrinal differences. But the truth is, the Most High responds to righteous conduct. So are you living righteously? If Cornelius was here today and you had to stand next to him, would you have a same report, a better report? Or are you not going to be able to stack up? Something to think about. Let's keep going, right? Because you got to understand, we so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of Negro and indigenous descent, we are the children of Israel. We are the remnant, you know what I'm saying, on this earth. What and how, right? You got to understand this. How can you apply these things to your life? You know what I'm saying? How can we apply these things to our life? Let's get an example. Let's go back to Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 44 through 47. Acts chapter 2, verses 44 through 47. It reads, "And all that believe were together." You got to understand, these are devout believers of the Most High and in His Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? These are devout believers. It says, and all that believe were together. That's unity. This is how we begin to apply the laws of God. You know what I'm saying? The laws of the Most High to our lives. You know what I'm saying? What else does it say? And had all things in common. Yeah, we might have doctrinal differences, but what do we have in common? We know that we got to keep the law. We know that we must have the faith. And we know that we're Israelites. And guess what? We got the same enemies. We go through the same struggles. Right? And in the end, Most High willing, we'll all see the same salvation. And have all things in common. Verse 45. And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men as every man had needed. That's charity. That's giving alms. You know what I'm saying? That's making sure everybody's straight. If I got, you got. Ain't no lacking. We good over here. Is that the character we have? With the nation. Not just my body, my camp. Because we're a nation first. You know what I'm saying? You got some Israelites out here that'll walk past another Israelite and won't even speak. But swear that they gonna walk into the kingdom. You gotta understand. Love is the fulfillment of the law. So how do you stack up next to Cornelius? Let's see, verse 45. It says, and sold the possessions, right? And gave to every man as he had need. Verse 46. And they continued daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart. So they broke bread, they ate together, they prayed together, and they gave to one another to make sure everybody was straight. Verse 47, praising God and having favor with all people, as the Lord added to the church daily such should be saved. Right? So this is how we should be. Cornelius was an example. His character was mentioned. How he conducted himself was mentioned. That's an example of how we should be. O nation not desired, it's time to gather yourselves together and stop all this bickering and fighting and going back and forth. And it's always going to be differences. It's always going to be different camps. But as long as we realize that we are one people and one nation and move in unity, we'll be all right. Because we got to do this thing in righteousness. And there's no other way to do it. So, questions for reflections, right? Are we devout or just informed? Think about that. Are you devout or just informed? Do our prayers and alms rise as a memorial? Are you giving and praying righteously or just to look good? Would the Most High testify about your character? Let me rephrase that. What would the Most High testify about your character today? Right? So we must be consistent in prayer. Give alms, you know what I'm saying? Intentionally. Give alms. Lead your household righteously. Guard your reputation among the people. Strive for unity, not contention. Right? Before Yahweh corrects doctrines, he examines conduct. Before he sends revelation, he acknowledges obedience. You know what I'm saying? Cornelius teaches us that a righteous life gets heaven's attention. That is what we, as the remnant, should strive for. You understand? And before I end this, I want to grab one more scripture. Let me get let me see. Let me get Micah 6 and verse 8. It reads, he has showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. So whether or not he was a Jew or Gentile don't matter. What matters is his character. How do you stack up? Are your words going up as a memorial for the Most High? Or are you in it for the clout? Understand this. It's time for us to come together and put aside these petty differences. Even though I know a lot of us ain't gonna do it. But it still has to be said. And I love you. 12 tribes scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. I want to say Ashar Shabbat and Shalom. Kwam Yashala.